So I was very much inspired by the colors of these three fabrics. So I think I'm gonna just make a little handbag. This is the pattern for the shell of the bag. I want my opening to be about 19 centimeters on the top, 27 centimeters here when you cut on the fold, 27 and a half, and here at the bottom 13 and a half centimeters. Of course, you may decide, depending on the shape, also the shape of the bag, that you may want the top to be wider, but I cut it in this way based on the shape that I like, something more triangular. And remember here where it's written cut on fold, you have to fold the material, you place this on the material and you cut. I'll demonstrate it in a second. And you will need two pieces. Remember to always label your pattern. It really helps a lot. This is the top part and this is the bottom part. So this piece of material I'm going to be using for the shell, and I'm going to just fold this in half, and where on the pattern paper just written cut on fold, I'm going to put this towards the fold. Okay, you put on the fold and you cut accordingly. This is the shell or the outside of the bag, and you will need two pieces of this. You also need to cut out two pieces for the lining. If they're all creased, you take them to the ironing board, you iron them flat. So for the shell of the handbag or the outer material, the material on the outside, for me, I decided that I wanted to use this material to embellish, because I like the black and white, you know, the contrast, the black and white on black. And there again, it depends on you. Try to have some sort of a vision. How do you want it to look? What colors do you want to use? I would like to use this material, but remember then there is also this material. So you may decide, oh, I think I would prefer to put this, and maybe I don't even want to use this, but I wanted to use this and sort of play with it on the shell to see what type of design I could create, something that really I would like. And what I thought of doing was sort of making this, cutting out a rectangular strip, but at the same time I cut it diagonally, okay, and I'm going to put it in such a way that it makes a really good design, one that's pleasing to me, one that I like. So there again, depending on the design you want, then the construction follows, okay? The construction follows depending on what kind of design. So yes, I decided to just cut this strip out, and for example, I would like to place it in this way. I would like to place it in this way where it goes on one part of the shell here, one part. maybe I'll turn it this way. Okay, so this is the top and this is the bottom. So it practically goes like this. It makes this design on the shell. And this should be the same as the other shell, okay? It's gonna be a symmetry. And what happens, you try to preview things. So what I'll do is this. I can take this and fold it in a way to make the straps, okay? And the straps, they're gonna be continuous with another piece that I'm going to place on the other side, more or less like this, about the same. So the straps are going to be continuous in this way. I'll show you a little better. More or less like that. And then they're going to be sewn together in a particular way. So I decided to, yes, keep some of this beautiful material on the black for contrast. Okay. Join them together up there for the straps. I'm going to be doing that on the other side, but I'm going to show you the construction. In the end, I was thinking of adding some of the red material here. Just a flap, okay? We're going to have a snap closure, but we're going to have a flap that comes here. So there again, you need to understand what do you want to do? How do you want to approach this? Okay, it's gonna, you have the 3 sets of material, and then you're going to try to design your design, use colors that you think they're attractive, depending on what you want to do. If you use, for example, you take this away and you use, let's say, this red with this. Okay, there at this point you go maybe more classic, and that's fine. So you try, the objective is always design, colors, they go together, how they go together. Is it pleasing to you? Yes, no? Then you change, you say, okay, I don't want this. For example, this is very small for the sake of demonstration, just wanted to show you how to do it. But it's, of course, you can really make this bag much bigger, much bigger. You can include a zip or anything. Here I'm not going to include pocket, zip, anything, just a snap, simple snap. And in other videos, I'll show you how to include zips, pockets, etc. So for now, the objective, the design, and see, if it's for you pleasing. So here you put the right side to the right side, the shell, and you pin it like this, and you sew right along about, you can leave about 1 centimeter or a little less. You sew right along here with a straight stitch. Remember to back stitch. this is the shell. So I've put the right side to the right side. I've sewn it only on one side. Only on one side. Reason being, now I have to turn it here to the middle. If you want, you can press. And the finished strip that I'm supposed to apply to the shell, this is it. I had to finish all the edges because this material frays a lot. So it really wasn't sufficient to just fold and iron, fold and iron. I had to really sew it properly. So there you go. Now you apply this to the shell because you want a symmetry. Okay, you would want to measure. For example, in this demonstration, I would like this to be a little higher, and I really would like it to go a bit to the center, because when I fold like this, I want some to be seen here, some of this material, and some here. Maybe less on one side, more on the other. It depends. So for now, here's what we're going to do. You lay it like this. You, on the right side, you apply the material because these finished edges, because of the finished edges, and you can measure. Here is the seam running along. So this could be a reference. So maybe you want to measure at least half of this. Okay, this is about 16 centimeters. Half of this would be 8. So here's what I do. I pin right at that point, 8 centimeters. From here now, I want to measure up about, for me, I think it would be pretty about, let's say 7 centimeters. Okay, so 7 centimeters. You got to remember 7 here from this point, because you want to do the same thing on the other side. And this, the middle, I place it right here, and there you're left with this part. For me, it looks good. There could be some, yes, less maybe on one side, more on the other side. The important is the symmetry. So here's what. I pin it in place. Then when it's all pinned in place, you take it to the sewing machine. And what you're going to do is you're going to sew here, from here all along, here, here, and here, up to there. I removed the pins. I stitched all along here. Okay. And now I'm going to crease it like this to see how it's gonna turn out, more or less. See how it's shaping up. So here it's on one side. This would be for the straps. In all, I used about 70 centimeters for the length, because for me it's comfortable, like 100 centimeters strap, and this was about 20. This is about 50. So 50 and 50, 100. Okay, for the strap, this gets up to a little, see, about my waist. Yes, when I put it on my shoulder, put a strap on my shoulder. Anyway, so this is what you do. You turn it around, then you see This is the other side. And now you have to repeat this process on the other side. It can be a little bit more difficult on this side because here you had a lot of space to work with. Okay, you had the whole thing flattened out, but here you're going to have a little less space. But it can be done. And I'll show you how. If by chance your stitches, well, it depends on the materials you use. They go a little bit, they're not as neat as you'd want them to be, because I wanted to stitch exactly on top of the other. You can also use some embroidery stitches to finish it up even neater. They do both things. They finish them up neater and they do look beautiful. So that's just, you know, a tip. Now you go right side to right side. You fold like this. You take this to the machine. You pin it well and you stitch all along this side. At this point, you're ready to place the other strip. So what you do is this. You keep it like this. Make sure the seams are lined up together. Okay, seam to seam. Because you're trying now to be as accurate as possible and you want to create a symmetry. So seam to seam, we can even pin them together. I'll do like this. Make sure seam to seam, seam to seam. You put your hands, you touch. Another trick is to just take a pin, you put it in there to see if like one seam it matches up with the other. No, in this case, you try again. Yes, okay. So you do that. Okay, seam to seam, and you continue along that route. You turn it over, turn it to this side. Okay, you need to be as flat as possible. And you take the other strip of material and you place it on top. Now make sure it's going to the right direction. Here I did a sort of a triangle, so I have to be very careful that it's going where it's supposed to. But it's, yes, in general. But I know it's going where it's supposed to because here, remember the edges? Okay. So dear, you want to try now to match this up with the other one on the other side as much as possible, because you want the perfect or almost perfect symmetry. So to do that, you always check. There you check, you can touch, you see, okay. This part here, this is a little further down. This a little further up, so I'm going to put it here. Okay. And try to get them together. And then I pin. Okay, now I check again. Okay, this could be okay. I would like to check here. And also here, double check. Remember the 7 centimeters. You double check. You see if it's in the same position. At least. So here, no. So then I go this way because I really want them to be here together. Pull this up a bit, flatten it out, and you go along and you pin and you pin and you try to pin this a bit like that, and you try to just, you know, match them up together, match together as much as possible. Don't pin through everything, but you pin through, you know, just the how should I say, the top layers. You don't have to go through all the material. Here again you go again, you go. And okay. Now, what you want to do is you want to make life a little easy for you. So you would like to, because it's a little bit more, you have a little bit more work sewing this. You want to take now the top layers, you've pinned everything in place. You know, you've pinned, you understand exactly the position, the symmetric position to the other strip. And what you want to do is, let's see, this one is pinned too much here. I'll just take that out to demonstrate what you have to do. You take a double threaded needle, and what you would like to do is you want to baste. You want to baste this top. You push your hand like this. You baste all of this because you want to keep this in place. Because at the end, you have to take it to the machine and you have to, there again, sew from here to here, here to here, and here to here. So you want to baste it to keep it really keep it down, keep it attached to this outer layer. Because I have to now, it's I basted this section here, and we're going to sew along here, okay? And because my bag is narrower, I'm going to just take off the arm here of the machine just to make things sewing easier. And I can do like this. Insert this here. So I can even begin to stitch from this angle here. Okay. Back stitch, and then you go ahead. Go here, try to go on top of the stitch so it looks neater. You turn, you put the presser foot down, and you try with and put your hands under, and you continue. It's easier if your pattern is not as narrow as mine, but because it is, there's just a little extra work. Then you go again, you go until this point, until you reach that point. Okay, see this. Okay, then you go, you continue. We search for the end point, and the end point is right here where my index finger is. Make sure it's free underneath. Right here. Back stitch, and that's it for that part. So we only have one more section.